would say I think emotional suppression is the first and most important thing I've learned about health. And talking about suppressed emotions, when I lived in New York City, I walked for 12 hours around Manhattan, literally the entire perimeter. I think it ended up being like 30,000 steps. And it was part of this book that I didn't read, but I basically saw this book called 12-Hour Walk. And in the book, the guy goes on a 12-hour walk, but I kind of thought I could like bring my podcast, bring my music. I had a whole list and lineup of everything I was going to bring. But no, it's just you, yourself, and I. Like it's just you. And yeah, so I walked around Manhattan for 12 hours with no music. My phone was on airplane mode. It was just in my pocket. Nothing, like just me out there in the world, no headphones in, nothing playing in the background, and just some snacks. And there was another part you're not really supposed to talk to people. So I didn't really interact with anyone. I was just with myself for 12 hours straight. This is so extreme. Now that I'm hearing it out loud, I'm like, that's a bit weird. And I remember telling my team the night before I was going to do it. And yes, they probably also thought I was weird. But in hindsight, it was one of the most impactful things I think I had ever done, because basically I just realized how much I would like reach for snacks when I would have a thought I didn't like. So about like maybe 10 miles in, I think I essentially did like 30 miles. Which I also got to see every neighborhood in Manhattan. It was a cultural experience. It was incredible. But I yeah, when I was doing that, I would walk and I was about 10 miles in, and I don't know, it's almost like I had walked off all my racing thoughts and things started to slow down a little bit in the mind. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I was with myself and I was more present. And I think it's because of the movement. I think I got things out by moving. And then when I was sitting there or I was walking and I just had a thought that I didn't really like. And it was one I'd had previous times before. And I can feel it now. It was like that tension a little bit. And I kind of just took a deep breath, but I reached for a snack. And when I reached for the snack, I became aware that I was grabbing it to stop the thought. And it completely changed my life in one moment, because I realized, oh my goodness, how many other times have I grabbed for something or gone to distract myself with a thought that I didn't want to sit with? Because the truth is that that thought really just wanted to be seen. That's it. I didn't have to interact with it. I didn't have to action it. It just had to sit and be seen and come up. And then I believe now come out of me, just like, it just goes away. And that has been another health thing. So health is healing. That's all it is. Every time we take care of our health, we're actually healing ourselves, whether it be through food, diet, exercise. But the deeper ways of health, which I've learned over the past few years and what I want to share with you, is the emotional suppression, is the distractions for health. So I guess my point with this second thing is that just notice when you're grabbing food as an emotional crutch and not as something to fuel your body. Because I did that and I was like, whoa, this is not me. And if I just let this thought pass, I wouldn't feel the desire to like numb the feeling or the thought. And that's been a huge healing practice in the past few years as well, is just not numbing things and just letting them flow. And that goes back to the first point, which is if when you're not numbing and you let things flow, you have really intense emotions, good, keep going. That means you're on the right path. You're letting things out that haven't been out in years, if not decades. And that's on the first point of emotional suppression. Like, especially as women, I think we hold things in a lot and we don't speak up, but like it's kind of our chance to speak up and like to actually say how we feel. And if you're around the right people who will support you, then you're in good hands. And even if you're not around the right people and you're more alone, I totally get that. And just trust yourself that you're on the right path. So number one is emotional suppression. If you're having heavy reactions, keep going, let it out, but also be aware that that means you're suppressing a few emotions. And second is the emotional crutch of food, and my experience of walking in Manhattan and basically realizing, oh my goodness, I'm only grabbing this crunchy thing because it will stop me from hearing my own thoughts, which is wild. Okay, we're moving through this. Let's go. Okay, number 3 is relationships. Again, I'm not going to tell you that you need to eat salad, kale over arugula. I don't really care. I think that there was this one study, which I'll preface of why I believe this, but they did a study on rabbits and they were testing cholesterol medicine. Okay, not really great to test on rabbits, but that's what they were doing. And I can look it up for you guys and put it in the comments, but basically they found that there was one group that the cholesterol medicine didn't affect it at all, but then the other group, it was like really spiking it like it should have. And when they looked at the other group, which they were feeding bad foods to and so in both groups, they were feeding them bad foods. And there was something about cholesterol, seeing what would spike it and whether it was like medicine. And in the one group, it reacted as it should. And in the other group, it didn't. And for some reason, they were confused. So they realized that the bunnies, the rabbits that were eating the bad food, the caretakers of them were actually rubbing them and like petting them and being kind to them while they were eating. So that made me realize that your state is actually what matters more, which is also why I'm not going to tell you to eat certain foods, because that's just not what health is really about. It's part of it, but health and healing is such a deeper thing to really discover. So anyway, number 3, that's just a little story. I can find that story and refine it later. But so number 3 is that relationships are genuinely one of the most important things. And I share this because I didn't know that. I was so focused on achieving. I was so focused on who I was and what I was doing and what I was achieving in all areas of life and how good I was, that I personally really did not prioritize relationships. And I think I struggled with relationships, whether that's because I made it all about me or because I really didn't feel like I knew how to connect with people. But the truth was I wasn't making it a priority. But now I'm aware that like love and connection and, having friends and having friends and family around and like intimate relationships is so important. It's like probably one of the most important things that will increase your health so much. I think I just isolate myself sometimes, or I would isolate when I was not feeling good or when I just wanted to like figure things out, or sometimes I do like to like read books all day or like study things, but it was getting to the point where I wasn't prioritizing relationships and friendships. And then when I finally did, it just had such a profound impact on my health and who I am. And even my identity started shifting and shaping. And that was really profound for me. So I think I didn't prioritize that. So if you in any way are experiencing like a desire to want to improve your health, I would start with relationships and connection, because it really, really makes a difference. Okay, let's see. That's a small one, but I also think just as women, we're motivated by connection. So yeah, I didn't even plan on it moving closer to home, but being closer to family and being by the beach and being able to go on beach walks with friends is like the highlight of my life. Okay, 4 is a bit controversial or interesting. The 4th thing is just I stopped doing HIIT workouts or high rocks or all of these like super intense things as a woman. If there are guys listening, like do what you want. But for the feminine, for female, for women, I just don't know if our bodies are designed for that, to be honest. I feel that the second I stopped doing that and I started doing things like yoga and Pilates, which I see on Instagram, everyone's like, oh, yoga, Pilates, but it's not that easy. It's not like a simple, you just shift into those things and then all of a sudden your health is like better and you start feeling better in yourself, which I think health is not just like pounds on the scale or, how you look. Health is how you feel. Health is, do you feel happy and motivated and excited, or do you feel down and depressed and sad? And you should definitely stick around for the next one because that will help a lot with that. But yeah, I just found when I left New York and I moved to Paris, I joined a gym and I was doing high rocks and HIIT classes. But every time I would do them, I would literally be the one grabbing the lowest weight because I couldn't lift weights that heavy. I'd never done that before. I mean, I had worked out all my whole life. I was athletic, but I just was not used to that. And the more I did it, the more my body just like ballooned and was not happy with that. And I didn't feel good. My blood sugar would just spike and it was all just a mess. And I felt exhausted because I was pushing myself. But I think as a woman in health, It's really about finding the workouts that make you feel like you're flowing, like you're finding something that fits with you. The push and the struggle is good for things like strength training, but the HIIT and the High Rocks classes, if you're wanting to improve your health as a woman, which is probably just realigning your centers and getting more in tune with yourself, that's what needs to change because it worked for me. So hopefully it would work for you. But I think it's not as easy as we see on Instagram of like, be a yoga Pilates girl. I don't think it's that easy. I didn't even know that I wanted that. And I'm not obsessed with some of the workouts, but I think that just the change and the arc of moving from being an athlete. And for me, for example, I grew up doing triathlons my whole life. I started at the age of 7 and I did triathlons and competed nationally until the age of 13. And then once that was over, I ran in high school basically almost year round. And then I did cycling in college. So being athletic was just part of my identity. And it still is, which I'm grateful for, but it had to shift because I think I was taking it to extremes of High Rocks and HIIT and just wanting to push and push and push. But I don't think the feminine body is meant for some of those ways of being. I mean, it is if that's what you want. But if you're having health challenges and you're not in your center, it would be interesting to think about stepping back a little bit, trying things out that soften you and that flow as opposed to intense. And that worked for me. So that was a big point, but I just really felt like that changed so much for me. When I was doing these intense High Rocks classes in Paris, first of all, I was so embarrassed because I was grabbing the 5-pound weight when everyone had like 30 pounds on them. And then once I stopped that, then I just started going for really, really long walks. And I really used exercise as a way to connect with myself as opposed to a way to like push myself harder. I think there's a time and place for that, but it's not every week, round the clock, not caring about your cycle. Like it was just too much for me. So I think that's very important. And that really, really worked for me as far as health. And the last thing is the cleanse. So what I really wanted to do in this live is pretty much bottle up like 2 or 3 years of like intense study of health and what works. And also from, I guess, a feminine standpoint of things can look good on paper, things can look good in our heads, and things can be proved by research as well sometimes, but they might not necessarily feel good. And I think for the feminine, things have to really feel good. So I just wanted to share some things that I know over the past few years have actually felt good, where I felt a change, where I felt a spiritual cleanse, or where I felt like my energy has uplifted. And there are things that are a little bit atypical. I don't think in the health conversation we're talking about suppressed emotions as much, but they are the driver of most disease. So the 4 things we've covered so far is emotional suppression, using food as an emotional crutch, relationships and friendships. I'm like trying not to read my notes. I'm doing a good job. And then maybe now I need it. And slowing down workouts and being more in flow. The other reason why and then we'll get into the 5th one, the final one. But the other reason why I really love these lives is that I feel that I'm able to candidly share with you guys stories of, things that have really helped me. And I really hope that they help you in any small way. Health truly is healing. And the more that you heal, the more you'll want to increase your health and take better care of your body and your mind and your spirit. It's not this one system. It's really holistic. And I think that's what I've really learned. But the main reason why I wanted to do this live this week, particularly, because it is maybe a bit random, but was that I did a 5-day cleanse. And you can see on my channel, I have a video of exactly what I do in this 5-day cleanse and what it feels like, what I go through. I share some facts about the liver and like all the nerdy stuff that I got into. But I just wanted to share this because every time I do this cleanse, I feel like a new person coming out of it. It feels like things internally and spiritually cleanse, and sometimes things get let go of that I didn't even know were trapped in there. Because the truth is that when we get rid of toxins and when we detox, which is detox, getting rid of toxins, it really allows us to see things more clearly. Because when we're poisoned by whatever we eat, by chemicals in modern world's life, we don't see things as clearly. We might actually be irritable or reacting to things. And the more that I've done these cleanses, the more that I've seen that I'm very calm and that my natural state of being is very loving and calm and caring and endearing. And when I have moments of sporadic outbursts or just feeling chaotic, usually I can tell actually if I've had something to eat or something around me that's been a bit triggering or poisoning of the body, if that makes sense. But this 5-day cleanse is like the biggest thing I think I would have done. It's not for the faint of heart because it's hard. This is my 4th time doing it. The first time it's like I'm like down bad, crying at the gym. And then the second time it's like better, but you feel your energy go down. The third time it was like kind of the same. And this is the final time, which I'm so excited that it really does work. I think I can really speak to that. The best thing to do is watch the video on my channel of the detox. But this has been one of the biggest drivers. It's actually funny to me that I'm able to summarize everything I've learned about health into 5 things because I've gone so deep on the human body, what it means to be healthy, and really more of a healing from a spiritual side of what does it mean to live in a body which is at rest and which is in a state of peace and just existence, as opposed to fight or flight or chaos, which I think that we all either live in or dip into. But the more that I cleanse, the more that I do these 5 things that I've shared, is the more that I change, the more that I feel lighter and brighter and like my skin's clearer and I just don't feel as heavy or like I'm carrying things with me, which really allows me to be more in the present moment, not only with you guys, but in my life, and also allows me to kind of just really discover who I am at a deeper level. So, the reason why health matters is up to you to decide. But for me, it really matters because I just want to feel more of life. I want to exist in a state that's more loving, more kind, more caring. And one way of doing that is getting out of pain and being, you know, having health as an issue can really be caused from pain. And the more that we can release suppressed emotions, not use food as an emotional crutch, have good relationships. What was my 4th one? Be kinder to our bodies if we're in a state of healing. If the body needs to heal, it doesn't really want to be doing HIIT or high rocks workouts. So if any of these are present for you of these 4 things, that would be a good sign to say, okay, it's time to go on the journey of healing. And the 5th is the actual cleanse that I've done 4 times now over the past few years. And it's really changed my relationship with kind of life, to be honest. I feel like I'm more vibrant the more that I'm like consuming vibrant foods. I think the more that I expand and grow in what I'm learning, whether it be about health or anything really, it's just really helping me grow as an individual, which is very exciting. So yeah, these are not typical health things that you hear about. I'm not going to tell you to go in the sauna or the cold plunge or all of that. I think beyond any of that, emotions are the most important driver in our life. And how you feel on a daily basis is even more important. And if you can begin to take the steps to care about your health and really go on the journey, I promise you, you won't regret it. Like I think I wanted to share this live, or this was the theme of the live this week, because I've just seen the benefits of taking health seriously and caring about health, not just from an external standpoint, but from an internal one of how you feel on the inside and spiritually feeling, or, how's your mind operating? One thing that's in the cleanse that you'll see is that there's a lot of celery juice consumption. Celery juice is like all over this book that I read. And every time after I have celery juice, it's like my brain fog goes away and I'm able to think clear and write clear and speak clear. So that's an indicator for me that something good is happening underneath. But I think it's the more that we go first, the more that we take care of our bodies, the more that we really just take care of our experience of life. And one of my motivators is just the more that I feel good in me, the more that I know I treat people even better than what I would if I was in pain. So, yeah, I just think that health is the cornerstone of healing. And to start the process of caring for your health is amazing. And anyone out there who's curious about how to get their health on track or what, you know, they've done or tried, I'm just grateful that you joined me. And I'm so proud of you because I know it can be tough. Um, but I just remember how I felt being burnt out after corporate life and just thinking, whoa, I need a breather. And just really kind of stopping a lot of things in my life to just figure out what actually works. And I can be certain now that I know these things work because I've never felt better internally and how I feel and how I show up for people. And I think what's more empowering is having the skills that I know now, to make myself feel better and to give myself permission. Because I think sometimes, we all deserve to feel good. And sometimes we just don't give ourselves permission to do that. And like, I know sometimes I forget to do that. So hopefully, if in any small way this gives you permission to take your health seriously, but take your healing seriously. Take your life and the way that you interact with life and your experience seriously. Because on the other side of all that work is like the most freeing, exuberant life that you've ever dreamed of. And that's been my experience. And I'm so grateful that you joined me today. Nothing in the chat, not gonna lie. No one has joined, but I love coming live because it's so much easier to flow and to talk with you guys and to see what comes up. And I'm excited to be filming a little bit more in the future and sharing a lot of the things that I've learned over the past few years because I've learned so much about life and healing and spiritual cleanses, but also just living. And maybe some things that I've tried that are popular in what we see online, but didn't actually help or didn't really get the results that I wanted. And I found things that got better results. So, yeah, I'm just excited to share everything with you guys. I really just hope it helps in any small way. And let me just check if I have anything else left, if there's no questions in the chat. Yeah, I think that the other thing I'll say is just that, I trust that everyone will make the best decision for themselves. I think people are fully capable of deciding what works for them. These are the things that have worked for me. And I hope you'll try them or at least let me know if you liked any of them. But that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to share today, but I'm excited for next week's live. I'll keep coming on at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Best day of the week, by the way. And to anyone out there, I love you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Ciao. Bye. See ya.